You're listening to the Nerd to Know Media Network. Join us at nerdtoknowmedia.com.
Broadcasting from the Blanchistan Center, this is Phoenix FM.
The internet is a communications tool used the world over where people can come together to bitch about movies and share pornography with one another.
According to the Nerd Index, you should be upside down in a junior high toilet around the clock.
This is your favorite one. We're good live. Time goes in, time goes out. Never miscommunication. It's over 9,000.
My name is Foxy.
The balls are in there. Do a barrel roll. Don't face me, bro. It's a trap. I'm a firing believer. Time to Hey, Charlie, wake up. Oh, God, oh, man.
Hello, and welcome to this week's edition of the Nerd to Know Basis show. The big 139 we've been hyping up for the past 5 or 6 weeks that you've all been excited about.
Everybody's favorite number.
Yes, of course. Maths nerds out there, you know what I'm talking about.
you guys
all
get it.
The possibilities.
Only the real ones get it.
Not an even number in there.
oh God! Oh, what's the?
Which is appropriate for this show because you probably know from listening to it. My name's Cian, and the squirming man you can't see over here is.
I'm going to spend the rest of this episode. Prime number. That's the name. It's a goddamn prime number, and I'm Kev.
Oh my god. And now that we've overcome that kind of first year maths conundrum, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. My daily life is overcoming first year maths conundrums, but otherwise I am coping just fine. How are you doing?
I'm very, very good. I'm excited to be here because we missed last week, but it's been an incredibly busy week compared to some weeks we actually had a huge amount to talk about. We probably won't get through it all, but here are some of the headlines. We have had Dublin Comicon. We have The Batman, good enough to have a the in front of it. Kev, you saw a film which on last episode we compared to Scooby-Doo meets Kiss. We've got Picard. We've got Marvel stuff all over the place. We will get through 1.5 of those topics, knowing us.
We promise absolutely nothing.
We will try.
But to get through at least one of these things, on an momentous occasion, cons are back. COVID
cons are back.
And doesn't even go back, here.
I believe you have something to say about as well. But we'll start with the con because basically before all the outlets are covering this, but Dublin Comicon is back. Just like St. Patrick's Day's parade, it's back 2 years after the world paused, or whatever melodramatic language you would like to use. And myself and my family went, and we had a lovely time. Kev, are you familiar with kind of Dublin Comicon and all the ins and outs of it and all that kind of stuff?
I've never actually been to Dublin Comicon. I only got to go to like a select handful of cons back when I had weekends. Then there was a 7-year period where that was just simply not an option. And now I've got weekends back, but the world was like, dipped in tar or whatever. So I'm not all too kind of brushed up on a lot of the stuff on Dublin Comicon in particular. So I'm gonna give you the reins on this one. What are the kind of the highlights of Dublin Comicon? What was it? Well, actually, no. First question: what was it like being in a crowd of people for the first time in years?
It was peculiar, I must say. Now it wasn't as jam packed as it was usually. Attendance was very good, but it didn't have that, fighting people off with your handbag thing to get into a lift or whatever it is.
Okay.
To be honest, social distancing wasn't a problem because we all went as the Bad Batch from, Star Wars: The Bad Batch. So our shoulders were about 1.5 meters apart anyway, which was handy.
Styrofoam is a good kind of distance maker in itself.
Yeah. I mean, that's kind of a normal type. Weirdly enough, it felt kind of back to being like Comic-Con. You have to get into a lift and you have to get past a giant 6-foot Bane or a 7-foot Wookiee. And you're like, oh yeah, that's kind of some inbuilt social distance in there. That's pretty handy.
This is fine. This is normal.
Yes, exactly. But no, it felt the only thing that was different was on one of the floors, they had a sort of in one door, out the other door on the far end. That's literally the only difference I noticed as far as that. I suspect the stands are probably spaced out a bit more. But no, they did a fantastic job. It was very, very much like we remembered it. The stalls were great. There was loads and loads of really good merchandise. The guests were great. The costume competition was great. The panels were great. It felt very much like the world had reopened and like nothing had changed, which is exactly what you want from an experience like this. Due to our manic costume ambitions, we didn't get to do the whole thing, but we did get to attend a few of the talks. We got to see the Kevin McNally talk from Pirates of the Caribbean. He was, Mr. Gibbs.
Yes,
yeah. He was an absolute dote, and I kind of bookmarked him as the talk I wanted to go to because, he's an actor who's been in loads of things and they bring with them loads of really cool stories. And, it's up on the Dublin Comicon's YouTube, but he tells stories about from the 80s and, how he sings to pigs to get them to go sleep and all these crazy type things.
You say something like that and it just makes me believe that that he wasn't acting in that movie, that he was just Gibbs.
Allegedly, he did the audition drunk by his own account.
I mean, if there's one way to get into a pirate movie.
But no, I won't just parrot the things that he said in his talk. But that was the highlight for me. That was very, very good. And I met Michael Kulditz from Band of Brothers and The Walking Dead and that kind of stuff, and he was great too. Didn't get to see Hellboy, unfortunately. It seemed to be a case of he waited for the line to get particularly long and then he'd come out, which initially I was kind of annoyed about, but then I kind of went, oh, that's the most Hellboy thing ever. Just kind of turn up whenever you want.
Wait until he's popular enough.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like all the guests were great. Like, I'm gutted I didn't get to see Pinky and the Brain. They seemed very nice. They did a really, really good job, especially considering they only got the nod that this was allowed to go ahead by the government about 6 weeks ago. They pulled everything together incredibly quickly. Like, the stalls were great, the arts race, the costume competition was great. They even let my 2-year-old daughter join in it as well. It was a lovely, lovely time. And I've said this before on the show, but I'll say it again. It's a surprisingly good day out for families. It's lovely just to go around the hall and get photos with all the Darth Vaders and all that kind of stuff. Pick up a few Lego figures that you'd never find except out of a set for 50 quid. They're usually £3 each, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You get artwork from original artists. The food's good. The talks are great. It's just a great day out. It definitely, they did a really good job of keeping it together. And it definitely felt like, even if, because I've had 5 or 6 friends come down with the thing we don't talk about. It was a wonderful, wonderful weekend. I'm gutted we didn't get to do more of it, but I was very impressed with how it was run, and we had a marvelous time. I would recommend it to people with families. It was absolutely wonderful.
Oh yeah, in my limited experience, it's from what I find, it's less for me about kind of whatever events are happening with speakers. I don't even kind of look at that. For me, it is very much just the experience of being in that kind of space, seeing all the cosplayers, seeing them kind of interact. One of my favorite moments of a con was JCon 2019, I think, where we went specifically to see Super Eye Patch Wolf doing a talk that morning. Why they booked him in at 10 in the morning for a talk is beyond me, but that was the schedule. And that was great. He talked about kind of YouTube videos. He talked about production. I shot a clip of a new one he was making at the time. That was fun. That was awesome. So we go today and we go to the artist alley and just kind of looking, kind of head down, looking at kind of the art on the kind of stalls. And I spot one that just kind of, the art grabbed my eye. I was like, oh, that's really striking art. It's really cool. There's a really awesome Metal Gear Solid print. And I just look up and that's himself. And I did not know that he moonlit as an artist as well. So and like I know he's not like a particular celebrity, that he is just a dude with a computer. But it was
he's
really
a celebrity
cool.
to me.
Yeah. He's ticked over to celebrity when that I've listened to him as I fall asleep several times. So but like that's it. It's that kind of interaction, that kind of mingling, just kind of talking to people and just kind of experiencing. That's like and yeah, as with families, it's a really just exhilarating kind of time around.
Yeah, actually, you've hit the nail on the head. And there was something nice about this one, where because it was slightly less well attended, apart from like Ron Perlman's like thing, you'd go to the hall where all of the celebrities were, and like you could just rock up to them and chat to them for a few minutes. And that was a unique experience I have never had before. Usually it's like, all right, you've got only so much time in the day. You probably have to pick one and wait half an hour, 40 minutes to talk to them. Try and make the most of it because it's short and get your photo and that kind of stuff. But like, sure, the Kevin McNally chap, like, you know, I came back later because there was just no queue, and like, you know, just had a banter with him because
just came
like,
back, was like, I'm still here, I see.
Yeah, I mean, we seemed to get on well, like, you know, and I brought my daughter and that kind of stuff. And if he was irritated, he hid it very well. Like, same with Cold. It's like, you know, there was a very kind of, I mean, I'm sure they were kind of frustrated because they're making money by the person, but it was a unique experience in terms of conventions and stuff. And it's, yeah, there was a lovely, relaxed vibe to this one. And it was just nice to be out meeting people and getting your photos done and all that kind of stuff. It's, I think when you kind of talk about conventions to people who don't go, they just think meeting a Star Trek actor or something like that. And it's much, much more than that. It's a lovely day out. You get to go to these talks that are free in Dublin Comicon and hear their stories. You get to get original artwork like you're talking about. You'd pick up weird soft drinks and merchandise and things you'd never see in a shop. You support local artists. Like,
and you walk around the corner.
Get a photo if you want a memento. Like, yeah, it's just... there's lots and lots of things you can take away, and that's not even including the panels that aren't hosted by, like, you know, kind of with respect, kind of like sci-fi actors like Lisa from our show. She did a panel, like, you know.
Oh, are you talking about panels, say, hosted by Nerd to Know Media coming to a con near you?
Yes, exactly. We're YouTube famous.
Plug. But like that's it. Like you get like
actually. You've hit the nail on the head there, because Dara went as well, tragically not in costume. And like he just went to all the talks and just met people, met other kind of independent kind of, you know, internet content creators, got like talked to them. I think he's arranged a few collaborations, watched or listened to this space, like, you know. So it's a lovely little kind of hub for meeting people. And I've never once in all the years I've been going had any nasty experiences or anything like that. So I would recommend it highly to anyone listening if you haven't gone before. Like the Dublin Comicon, they run it very, very sharply. You never feel like you're under any immense pressure or anything like that.
Well, that's you know the other major thing.
Even if you don't,
is that like it, like the other kind of the side of the coin, I think people kind of will see it as intimidating. It's not. Like, so long as you kind of know to avoid any kind of crowded areas you come across, it's going to be a pretty just chill time.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And like a lot of my friends didn't go for that very reason, who would usually go just for the health and safety. I can completely understand that. Yeah. But like the first time I went to Comic-Con, I didn't know there were talks. I just went to the shops and had a good time. You know, it's whatever you want it to be. Don't be intimidated by the culture of conventions, if you know what I mean. It's a lovely, lovely experience. And like I said, I'm able to bring a 2-year-old and like have no problems whatsoever moving around. Like, you know, she got some lovely Cuphead artwork. Actually, I'm gonna get the name of the artist now. There's lots and lots you can take away from it, and that's even before getting into, like, you know, you can sit on the sets of Stranger Things and The Walking Dead and kind of get photos and all these stuff. There's lots of good free things you can do there if you're also worried that it's a money pit or anything like that.
Hey, it turns out these big events, they're well organized. They got a bunch of stuff in it.
Yeah, but like it's I can see why on the outside of it might seem a bit intimidating or frightening or anything like that, you know. I actually want to give a shout out to the artist whose art we bought, Anthea West, or dustbunnystudios.com. Give them a look up. But that's, and of course, to segue into our next thing, they sorted out a surprise guest at the last minute, which was Barry Keoghan, who opened the con on the Saturday, you know. So he didn't do the photos and things, but he came to.
Oh, I think we have had some technical difficulties. But I think what Cian was going to kind of segue in before we lost him to the void was that Barry Keoghan surprised the event, which is really pertinent timing, considering that he is now headlining as having cameoed surprisingly in The Batman, which I and Cian, the long lost Cian, had managed to catch in the cinemas recently enough. And I'm going to hold on until Cian comes back because I can't riff this long. I tried. I beelined for quite a bit until you left, so I'm going to give like a quick space for edit.
It's okay. Dara has clips to put in.
Yeah. But yeah, we got to see we went to see the Batman.
Yes.
Recently enough. And I gotta say, it's excellent.
Yeah, well, before we even get into it, what were kind of your expectations around this film, Kev?
Truly not much. I wanted different. I think I've spoken at length on this about how I don't like how the DC universe are trying to kind of interconnect things or trying to pull the strings the way the Marvel does. They haven't been good at it. It's not been working. And the fact that they're kind of doubling up on a Batman when they've had one in the past 5 years, I wanted this to be completely separate. I wanted this to be completely unrelated. And it is. And I'm delighted. So I'm like, I didn't know what to expect. And that's kind of, and I think my expectations kind of hit home on that because it is an off-kilter movie for a superhero movie.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, like, it's the perceived reputation around it is it's a new, darker, more realistic Batman. And it's not that. It's the Nolan movies kind of put their flag in the ground as far as close to kind of realism as they were going to be. It's not what that is. It's pulpy in some respects, but it is more of a crime thriller than it is a superhero movie, you know?
It's slower, it's more contemplative. It's like it's not a blockbuster action movie. You're gonna get a little bit of action, but what you're gonna get is mystery, you're gonna get intrigue, you're gonna get like complicated relationships. And you're also gonna get Colin Farrell in a lot of makeup, making very funny faces. And that's just enjoyable cinema. But
yeah, actually, before we even get into the plot, the cast across the board are great in this.
Everyone hits it out of the park. Obviously, Colin Farrell, like, stunning performance. Like, you wouldn't know it was him outside of the credits. Zoe Kravitz absolutely smashes it. What's the name of the actor playing the Riddler?
Paul Dano.
Thank you, audience. Paul Dano. Equal parts hilarious and intimidating. And of course, Robert Pattinson smashing Batman. Yes. Absolutely.
And we should say, Dara isn't here. No spoilers. We're not going to do any of that. Just go see it. It's very good. Yeah. We will talk about it, but
I'm not gonna get into reveals or anything. But speaking generally, what I love about just Robert Pattinson's portrayal of Batman in this, he's not like the suave philanthropist that Ben Affleck or like George Clooney were. And he's also not like the kind of the action hero that like Christian Bale was. This is a moody 20-year-old boy who like it cuts to the heart that Batman is fundamentally a weird dude.
Yes.
He is a weird man who puts on makeup, dresses like a bat, and goes out at night and beat people up. Like that's, and it gets that, and it knows that, and it plays with that, just kind of with his interpersonal relationships. Bruce Wayne in this movie isn't a superstar. He's he is a famous oligarch who should be funding this city, but isn't because he's dressing like a bat and beating people up.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's like the most famous thing about him is his parents' murder. He hasn't like stepped into there. Like they make a point of like, we should say the film is 95% Pattinson in the Batman costume. This is a like dread level of like dedication to just that. And like it is him doing his detective stuff. But the one, like, whenever they refer to Bruce Wayne kind of in the abstract, they refer to him as the famous orphan. Like, the most famous thing about him is his parents' murder. And, like, they obviously, like, a lot of these, like, the Joker does this too. His father's kind of reputation in the city casts a shadow over it. But, like, they make a point of showing that, one, this is Batman only in his second year. So we thankfully don't get don't show the bloody scene in the alley where the pearls fall to the ground.
The pearls,
all
exactly.
That kind of stuff. Don't be doing that now. And they didn't, thankfully. They just jumped straight into the middle of it. He's already friends with Gordon. Like, you know, it's...
But he's already friends with Gordon, but the cops still hate him. He's still like he's still a weird vigilante that's only kind of just getting the trust of the people. Yeah,
exactly. It's not an origin story of such. It's more like a journey of him deciding what kind of hero should I be. Do you know what I mean? Like like he comes in, like, again, we're not going to spoil it too much, but he comes into the plot when something relating to the first murder, and there are murders in this. The Riddler, as we discover, leaves letters to Batman at the murder scenes, and that's the world's logic for him being allowed into these scenes with cops who hate him. So like it's a proper like crime procedural, but like it really kind of doesn't pull its punches in regards to the way Batman is perceived by people, and like how just like kind of Pattinson's Batman is not really right in the head. He's not crazy.
No, but
he's not treated as like an audience surrogate. Do you know what I mean?
No, like when he's not wearing the cowl, you can tell this is a man that needs to get help and should not be doing what he's doing. This is like, I mean, this is a man that needs a full support system.
Exactly, and like, because the difficult thing about talking in this movie is the Nolan films do this too. The Nolan films do eventually cop to the logic that Batman is not a healthy thing for him to be, but it's different here.
Yeah, but it's done in the way where like those movies have pretty like kind of start from the fundamental level of that. No, Bruce Wayne is doing fine on his own. Like it will like waver on him because these things do, and The Dark Knight Rises kind of falters with that message a bit. But like Bruce Wayne in those movies is still a fully functioning human being who the people know and like. This one isn't.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And like, it's like, don't get me wrong. This is the best detective Batman that we've seen in a film yet. Like Pattinson, like the one thing I love about his performance is he doesn't do the Batman face. Do you know what I mean? Like it's whenever like Michael Keaton or Ben Affleck, they do this kind of resting grimace to make him look intimidating. But having Pattinson just be in the costume, just kind of relaxed and walking around scenes as if he's not Batman is like, it's sort of more unsettling.
And
do you know what I
still
mean?
do
like,
that while being intimidating. And like, definitely like the direction and the sound design add to that. There's sequences where he'll walk through a scene and the boots will be like hammers on a hammers on a floorboard. Like the way, like the impact that some of these things are creating, like a lot's got to be said about the direction of the movie.
Oh, Matt Reeves does a fantastic job. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant. Again, love and like little details. I love this Batmobile. Can we just stop for a moment? I love that because it's not like a custom. It's not like a tank.
It doesn't look like a bat.
It doesn't look like a bat. It wasn't like a custom built like thing. Here is my branded Batmobile.
Yeah.
They're probably going to make toys of it. They shouldn't. It is a hot rod that he just like soldered.
The Lego sets have been in shops for 2 months now.
Buy one using our coupon code. We definitely don't have one. .coupon. But like, it's a hot rod that he's just like soldered sharp edges to, and then just like stuck a jet engine on the back of. It's like my favorite part is that like he's idling. He's idling. He's stopped. The jet engine is pulsing at the back. And he's just kind of standing there revving. So it's the jet engine isn't even doing anything. That's just aesthetic. And that tells you everything about this guy.
It's completely. I mean, like, it's because I've heard people talk about this film and they talk about it in those dour, serious tones. Like, this is still a film where, in the logic of the film, he's listening to Nirvana on the way home. Do you know what I mean? Like, it rides that line where every time it's taking itself too seriously, it doesn't do a joke necessarily, but it just reminds you with its style that it is a comic book film.
It's self-aware enough to let you know that its characters aren't.
Yes, that's a really good way of putting it. Yeah. And like, this is it's kind of a seedy film. Like, most of this film does take place in the workings of a nightclub. There's definitely like kind of overlaps with the Gotham TV show and that kind of stuff, just in the way the city is presented. It has a tiny touch of that like Tim Burton Gothic aesthetic and all that kind of stuff, you know.
On that note, I believe they've announced that they're actually doing a spin-off TV series from this with Colin Farrell's Penguin.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it's 2 shows or 1 show. I'll bring up, I'm terrified of like breaking my internet here. But I've heard it announced that, yes, Colin Farrell is doing a HBO show. And prior to this film coming out, they've announced a Gotham PD show starring Jeffrey Wright, who plays Jim Gordon. I'm not sure if they're both the same thing, but those will be coming out. And that doesn't surprise me, because this does feel like a universe that can be explored on its own, separate of the DC stuff. But,
yeah, I hope they don't like milk it into the ground. That's kind of my. Yes. I liked it because it was so different, because it was doing something that they weren't, and that's when DC is at their best. So I don't want them to jump on this and be like, I don't want them to see this as being so popular and then like, no, we're dumping all of our plans. We're going on our path, Batman. That's gonna fail.
We don't want everything to be like this.
No.
You're absolutely right, and like it's interesting the things they chose to, because like, are you up on your kind of Batman media, like as far as like
relatively enough? I think I'm pretty up to scratch.
Yeah, well, I mean, I wouldn't be up on that many stuff, but like but like they've picked recent but dynamic things to kind of adapt into this film. Like they used the Long Halloween comic, the Jeff Loeb one, which was kind of an influence on the Christian Bale Batman as well. But then also more recent things like kind of the Telltale Batman plot beats from that. That's only 4 or 5 years old. Are in
that's a deep pull.
Especially with the Riddler, because the Riddler, there's a lot of overlap with that Riddler in this. Mask of the Phantasm, there's a lot of kind of Kevin Conroy-isms, especially in regards to the Catwoman character in this.
Yes, that's the biggest parallel I think I've been drawing. I can't compare him to any of the other live action Batmans, but I can compare him to Kevin Conroy's.
Yeah. Well, there is that sort of. I'm not as up on my Kevin Conroy Batman, unfortunately, but that one did seem to kind of have the thing where they copped to the logic that Bruce Wayne's kind of crazy, but not in an overt way type thing. He was just sort of reclusive and kind of didn't know how to be at parties and that kind of stuff, you know. But But yeah, who was like? Did you have like a standout element or scene or performer in this? Or
Again, Colin Farrell. I can't. I'm never huge on him. I wouldn't go out of my way to see a movie with him in it, but like he ate every piece of scenery he was in. And like you wouldn't know it was him. Again, I don't want to give too much away. There's a car chase scene, and it has stuck in my brain since I watched that movie, because it was just it like in a movie I expect it to be 3 hours of me sitting there going I laughed. It's like is this car chase scene made me laugh out loud in the cinema.
Yeah, because like this film takes itself very seriously, and then now and again it'll just throw you like an escape rope where you get to kind of laugh at it. Like it's one of the ones for me, a smaller example was the police are getting edgy with like Batman handling evidence, and like they're like, Gordon, what are you doing? And like Gordon goes, well, he's wearing gloves, I guess. It's fine. As if that's the problem, you know?
Yeah, no. Like it, I don't want to say go and see it, because odds are everyone already has.
Yeah,
because it's been one of the highest grossing movies of the year. But if you haven't and you want somebody to try you, listen to our opinion. We know what we're talking. Two white dudes in their like late 20s, early 30s. Yeah, you should definitely listen to what we're saying.
One is a T-shirt that says Alan with an alien egg on it. The other's got a Star Trek badge. We are the trustworthy nerds to go to about this kind of stuff. We've got bring down this revelation that Batman is good.
Instead of catching up on anything new recently, I've been watching an anime from the 90s. That's
oh my god. But actually, one thing I wanted to, before we kind of switch it up, is the score by Michael Giacchino was gorgeous. The music score.
Like, listen, they might have used like the same Nirvana song twice and played Ave Maria. I'm getting things mixed up because they use Ave Maria about 3 times in this one, and I recently watched John Borman's Excalibur, which uses O Fortuna like 4 times. I was about to say O Fortuna.
Oh, it'd be a very different film if the X Factor song was in this. But no, I wanted to highlight it because like Giacchino, he has a very particular sound. For anyone who doesn't know, he did all the music for the new Star Trek films, Doctor Strange. Like, he's got a very, very particular, Rogue One as well. He's got a very particular style to his music. And this is not that. The Batman theme is 3.5 sparse notes on a guitar. And they stick with it for the whole 3 hours and just kind of amp it up when they need to now and again. It's not like the Hans Zimmer thing where it's sparse, but it's also loud and intense.
We're long past Danny Elfman.
Yeah. It's just impressive to me to be able to make a new Batman soundscape after like so much Batman content. And this really jumped out at me as soon as the film started. Because it's a very hard, I think without the music being that good, it would be very hard to balance the sort of serial killer aspects of the Paul Dano Riddlery stuff and the more like Batman vlogs over montages. You know what I mean? Without that music, the balance could shift one way too far or the other. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, it's all part of this. Just this delicate ballet that again will string you through nearly 3 hours of movie.
Yeah, actually, before because did it feel 3 hours long? Because that was my big worry going into it.
No, I'm definitely glad I knew it was that long going in, just to be aware of it. But it did not drag for me at all.
Yes.
Admittedly, I did nearly doze off halfway through it, but that's because I was out drinking the night beforehand. Don't do that.
Don't drink in Batman.
Don't drink in Batman. Bad choice. Get a good. Hey, this is Kev from Nerd No Media. We have a lot of fun here. Get a full night's rest. Don't go to a rock concert and then make plans the next day. Bad call.
Yes, you've actually set up the segue for the next. But before we go, yeah, you're absolutely right. It did feel like the film reached a natural conclusion around Catwoman's plot. And I thought that's where the film was going to cap off. And then there's kind of a extra third act on top of it, if you know what I mean. I won't give away what it is. But that didn't bother me because they keep the Riddler so far on the fringes of the movie that when they finally kind of pull him to the center, it's like it kind of does light a fire under it, even though you're very, very far in. He's not in the movie entirely. But it's again, to kind of compare it to Seven, like, you know, it's very much like he's more of a presence in the background than an active, like...
Anytime he shows up, it feels momentous.
Yes. Yeah, and this one ain't safe for kids. I know, like, you should, like people probably know that anyway, but, like, you know, there's lots of... Not only is it murder, but I suppose it's not gruesome necessarily. But it's there's heavy themes. It's voyeuristic. It's
like you know, there's some trauma. There's some violence. There's some like people trafficking. There's some stuff your kids shouldn't see.
Yeah. Like everything around the nightclub and John Turturro and all that kind of stuff. I mean, irrespective of whether the content is necessarily like fine, there is a kind of atmosphere I think wouldn't do for younger audiences. Like, I'll put it this way. Technically, The Matrix Revolutions was 12s. I would not take a 12-year-old to it. You know what I mean? Like,
did Revolution? No, Revolution. No, it was. Pardon me. Reloaded had the sex scene in it. Revolutions was fine.
Yes.
Don't take your kids to see either.
Yes. Not that I would compare this film to that film, but yeah, there is an atmosphere to it that I think would make young viewers uncomfortable, even if the content isn't necessarily like bad. So that would be the only caveat I'd give. But go on. Sorry.
To kind of actually take a hook out of what you were just talking about, I finally got around to watching The Matrix Resurrections.
Oh yeah.
Finally. It took me so long because I missed it in cinemas because of that. Hey, remember that stupid 8 p.m. rule Ireland had? For like 2 months, changed nothing, was just a bad idea, right? And I'm blaming that for me missing The Matrix in cinemas, and I am still gutted. Yeah. Finally managed to rent it on YouTube the other night. And might I say, Dara was right. That's a good movie.
Oh, don't say that too often. I'll hear you.
You can sense it.
What was he right about?
No, there is so much of a worry that this could have been a flop, that this could have been a cash-in, even with Lana attached. But no, for a start, the first hour of that movie is Lana Wachowski talking through the screen to you about, hey, you guys wanted a sequel, you're getting a sequel.
Yes, I've seen a little bit where it's like Warner Brothers are dictating a fourth movie. We'll make it with you, whether you're here or not.
Literally. Yeah. It is like subtext is dead. The author is dead. Only text.
Yeah, it's meta to the point that like Sonic Boom is subtle. Like, you know, it's just.
But then once you kind of peel past that into the actual plot of the movie, what shocked me was just how simple of a plot it was.
Oh yeah, well, I know nothing about this really, apart from the old clips. Like, what's the rundown?
The basic summary is they first half is rescue Neo from the Matrix. Second half is rescue Trinity from the Matrix. That's the movie.
Fetch quests. Love it.
Literally. But like it does it, and it plays off of like all throughout that, it plays off of the history, the legacy, the like pulling like it literally just intersperses scenes from the original trilogy just across it. Just kind of to remind you the parallels that, you know, it brings back old characters, the new characters that are there. And it all hinges on the relationship, on the dynamic between Neo and Trinity, which is just fantastic. Like Keanu Reeves and Carrie-Anne Moss just have a great chemistry. And it delighted me to just see them together again, because rewatching the Matrix movies, like on the run up to it, I loved them. I absolutely adored them together. And then, like a lot of the new character, like Neil Patrick Harris is
Right.
truly excellent in as well. Like he's effectively the modern age of the architect. He's called the analyst.
Yeah. So again, is he kind of like a stand-in for like kind of like movie think tanks? Like, is that the kind of
a little bit? It's more of he's where the architect was this archaic, very methodical, numbers-based, very practical kind of artificial intelligence. Like Neil Patrick Harris's analyst is modern, it's slicker, it's more robust, it's more flexible. Like, and he pulls off villain very, very well.
Yeah, him and Colin Farrell are up there for the people we always knew were good actors, but for some reason needed a reminder type category.
Needed a good script.
Yeah.
My only kind of criticism, and it's not fair to call it a criticism. I'll say this much. Like this, it's my one kind of what if for this movie is I really wish they could have gotten Hugo Weaving back.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen the film, but to be honest, I'm with so many legacy things. I'm glad that like not everything was brought back because like they milked that character so much to the detriment of the second and third film, you know?
I won't say too much.
Oh, okay.
But I think it would have been better had he been involved.
Right.
What's there is still good. What's there is still very, very good. What's there is instead in place they have Jonathan Groff, who was King Louis in the original recording of Hamilton.
Ooh, okay. Oh my god!
He's good. He's like it's still pretty possible, but it would have been a lot more impactful had it just been Hugo Weaving.
Well,
on the other side,
exist for a reason, you know.
On the flip side, while for weird video game reasons they couldn't get Lawrence Fishburne back because they murdered him, hit that version of his character in an online game that doesn't exist anymore. I'm gonna have to pull up the actor's name. The new Morpheus in this is wonderful. He was a delight to watch. Where Lawrence Fishburne was very stoic, was very philosophical. This one has a wit and a charm, and where so contrasting to everyone else's black leather trench coats, this guy was just head to toe in drip of these vibrant colors. Are like bright orange and blue suits.
Okay, yeah. The only thing I've seen him in is like Aquaman of all things. So like the new cast like kind of holds their own, do they?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. If anything, Jessica Henwick's character Bugs. I like for how much she was in the marketing. She's not that big of a character. She's kind of
what I was going to ask about. Yeah.
She's not. She's more of a means to an end. I think.
Right.
Like the movie,
she chose to do The Matrix over Shang-Chi, allegedly.
Yeah. No, like it's good. Like she is good in it, but they definitely were. It felt like at least the publicity was building her to be more than she was. Why? Sorry. Google has. I'm looking at the cast listing to get the new Morpheus' name, but Google has listed Morpheus in this as Lawrence Fishburne, and that's wrong. Where the actual
probably
actor,
because of all the reused sequences, they have to legally credit him.
Where the actual actor playing him in Resurrections is Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, and he is a treat.
That is a great name. Like. I'm actually like, I mean, I have a long name, but by goodness, I'm outdone. Speaking of Jessica Henwick, actually, just because today it's not, I suppose, a huge amount of news, but it's all of the Netflix Marvelverse got dropped onto Disney Plus, and I mention this because of Jessica Henwick's connection, and indeed Carrie Ann Moss's from Jessica Jones.
Yeah,
like, do Do you have any strong feelings for like the Netflix verse? Will you be going back to it on Disney Plus or anything like that? Or?
I don't think I'll be going back to it. I never really finished it. I think I got as far as the first Defenders series and like where that kind of capped it off.
That's where it lost most people, yeah.
In the chronology. And like I've heard it gets better after that. I'm tapped on it. But in saying that, I still think Jessica Jones season 1 is one of the most perfect seasons of television ever put to screen. Front to back, I've watched that season about 3 times, and front to back, it is so tight. Every aspect of that moves like clockwork, and every actor is electric.
Yeah, I completely agree. I rewatched Jessica Jones because I'd never seen series 3 just before it disappeared off Netflix, and the whole thing is solid from start to finish. I think people dropped off season 2 just because David Tennant didn't come back, and I can understand why. But it's really, really, it keeps getting better and better. And I think it suffers from actually coming out too early, because I think if Jessica Jones came out now being this jaded superhero and using child star as an analogy for being a superhero, I think that would actually impact harder than it did back in, like, it came out the year like Captain America, the Winter Soldier came out. It will come out now and work better in a more saturated superhero landscape. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, it would be the refreshing bite of air you need now. Definitely, like if you haven't, like, Daredevil season 1's pretty good. Watch Jessica Jones. Even like if you just have no interest in following this universe, just watch Jessica Jones.
Yeah, Jessica Jones is the best standalone of, I think, technically, if you include the Punisher and the Defenders as their own thing, there's like 7 Marvel Netflixy versy things. Like Daredevil is great too. The second series gets bogged down in the Defender setup, but not to the degree that Iron Fist does. And funnily enough, even though people kind of trash talk them, Iron Fist series 2 and Luke Cage series 2, they're both solid, especially considering they're kind of, you know, rebuilding as opposed to building. And the Punisher is a mood, but if you've got the threshold for it, it's very, very good. So I know you will stand the Punisher series. I could not. I found it impenetrable. Yeah, well, I mean, I'm not sure if I enjoy it or admire it for succeeding in making a good show, considering who the Punisher is and what the climate is. Like, in a way, and not to give away too many spoilers, but the Batman has to kind of deal with the fact that it's hard to make a vigilante movie in this day and age. You know what I mean? And that goes 10 times more for the Punisher as a character. Yeah. So, like, I'm very impressed with it. I hope that even if they don't bring them back, now that they're under the Disney Plus umbrella with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it at least gives them license to bring in these characters. Like Jessica Jones in the comics was the mentor of the Young Avengers, and that was perfect.
Well, I mean, as we've seen from Spider-Man and Hawkeye, they are, but like in a more they were big shocks. You know what I mean? Oh, it's a nod to it. I'll probably see Jessica Jones. I'll probably see Kristen Ritter like walking the background of Multiverse of Madness holding a Starbucks or something. Like that's, I'm not expecting anything past that for at least a long while, but like, they're acknowledging them.
Exactly. Because there's a lot of continuity, like especially with Luke Cage and Iron Fist. They end in very weird but interesting places that you can't just pick up. I hope it opens the door to them being included in the same way Kingpin was included in Hawkeye, because there's lots of really good characters. Like, I was gutted that we didn't get the Daughters of the Dragon. Do you know what that is?
Vaguely.
It's Misty Knight from Luke Cage and Jessica Henwick's character, whose name falls out of my head at the moment. They kind of are an alternate heroes for hire who are much more interesting. And they were setting that up, but obviously these things kind of, the timing just didn't work out and all that kind of stuff. So I hope they're kind of them, and maybe even, God bless us, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are brought into the kind of Marvelverse, even if it's just as like guest players and stuff. Because like, as you said, Doctor Strange is going to feature Miss Marvel ahead of her appearance in her own TV show.
It's more that like what was refreshing about this at the time, and definitely feels so now, is that it was an adult side of this. And like, not that I think we need to get like big violence and cursing vibes out of this, but it'd be great to see something in this like absolutely colossal universe we built, just dealing with much more mature themes.
Yeah.
I'd like to kind of like then kind of use this, what they have is this kind of pre-established universe, to build on that and show, again, like it did a great job showing a ground level perspective of like the entire conceit of Daredevil is, hey, the Avengers in New York rocked a lot of people's boats. Here we're still living with the fallout from that. So it kind of like that gets that kind of smaller perspective, smaller stakes, mature kind of themes. I think like it's a really interesting avenue, and I really hope they kind of just they take that lesson from it and give us a bit more of that.
Yeah, exactly. And like you're right, there was, because I mean, I think in retrospect, both with this and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., people were kind of oversold on the connection to the MCU. They're kind of rectifying that. They're
oversold, and it's like, again, like at the time, obviously this was before Disney Plus was like a thing and announced.
Yeah,
you'd have to go to the cinema for the Avengers. You have to go to ABC for Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and then you have to go to Netflix for these. So like, it was all kind of scattershot at the time.
Yeah, but like this had never been done before, so that was fine. But like, I think because Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. actually had like Nick Fury in its first series, like, you know, they hit the ground running with a lot of overlap, and then it became clearer and clearer that these were kind of actually in very separate places. Yeah, even if they mention Ultron once or twice.
Oh, I heard that like
Luke Cage or something like that. You know,
I didn't watch it. I didn't keep up with it, but I heard when Winter Soldier came out, the entire writing staff had to just like pull a U-turn and be like, "No, we're following whatever this is saying now."
That was great. Oh yeah, the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. are the most, like, I respect them hugely, because their job is they just write around whatever the movies do, and the movies don't care about them. And they hung in for 7 seasons. The your man who plays Coulson found out that S.H.I.E.L.D. was Hydra in the screening of Winter Soldier while they were making the season.
Oh no! Oh,
can you imagine?
Somebody should have sent him an email.
And like, you know, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. went to all, not to give away all the bloody secrets of it, but they went to all the trouble of like explaining where mutants come from, where the Inhumans come from, why no one was there to stop Thanos when it arrived, or do all this work for other properties, and the properties they're supporting just don't care. It's like it's a bit like kind of some of the Star Wars cartoons when the movies are coming out. Like, you know, they do all this work to make things make sense, and then the Star Wars movies just do whatever they want. Make sense of that.
I mean, to be fair, like, you know, the Inhumans didn't care about them, and nobody cared about the Inhumans. So you get what you pay for there.
I'm actually very curious to actually just watch the Inhumans to see, because it had the strangest reaction of like, it was met with ambivalence, and then it wasn't hated when it came out.
But it's so far, like in the modern Disney sphere, it is the only thing that has been just pushed under the rug and said, no, this didn't happen.
Is it not on Disney Plus at all?
I don't know if it's on Disney Plus, but I'm pretty sure like it's been at least disowned. I think they've out and it says like, no, this ain't canon. No.
Which is a bit of a problem, because I know the Eternals are kind of a soft remake of the Inhumans, but like the Inhumans were supposed to be the gods of mutants, and like no one saw it, and they're your gateway to having the X-Men in it, you know?
Yeah, but now they just have Fox. So
yeah,
they can kind of do whatever they want there. So that actually brings us to our time for this week.
Oh my goodness, that flew in.
Absolutely. Well, as always, thank you all for listening. This has been a blast. Before we go, Cian, was there anything you would like to plug for the good people?
Not at all, not at all. I suppose I'm reviewing. We didn't get to Picard this week, but I am reviewing it for Geek Ireland. The first 3 episodes will be out by the time this airs. So if you want my feelings on it, give it a look there. And all of our wonderful Nerd to Know content, including some shows which I and Kev are not on, but are equally wonderful, they are on our Spotify. So if you're looking for extra people telling you how good the Batman is, as if there wasn't a huge amount of them, sure, we've got all our back catalogue of things, including the review of the what was the film you didn't get to talk about?
Studio 666.
Studio 666.
The new Foo Fighters movie. Yeah.
We covered that in our last episode with probably terribly wrong predictions on Batman. So you can go and have a good chuckle with that. So yeah, I'll plug ourselves. Over to you, Kev.
Yeah, no, you can find everyone on Nerd to Know Media just like cats on a tin roof, just screaming about the Batman. But when I'm not screaming on a tin roof, you can find me screaming on Twitter at KevTalica94, and you can find me screaming on YouTube at where I run my D&D themed Greek mythology themed D&D campaign over at the Nancy Crew. The links are in the description for that. You have a ball. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. This has been Nerd to Know Media signing out.
Hey, Dara, what are you doing over there in Ireland? Like with the freaking leprechauns and everything. That's not cool. You should be over here with the cosplayers. At least then you could, like, I don't know, pretend like you got, I don't know, some kind of thing going on. Yeah, with you give me a Brooklyn raise. Yeah, with Dara. Yeah, Dara. Why ain't you over here with Joey? Anyway, we missed you, dude. So, it's Bill Karibo saying...
I love it. All I do is just...
Thank you for listening to a Nerd to Know Media production.